So that's the first virtual town hall series, the first presentation. And I want to start with a personal moment that I had just a few weeks ago when I went on a road trip with my son on the East Coast of the United States, from Florida to Canada, 2,000 miles. And one place we stopped on the way was in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, where the first powered flight was done. And I'm bringing that up because I was coming, like most of us, from thinking about our world of software development and open source and visual effects and animation. And this kind of took me 120 years ago at the time of innovation, where a lot was going on, and the Wright brothers made the first flight. And for some reason, it got me in a deep reflection about innovation and the evolution of technology. As this small museum, I highly recommend it if ever you go to Kitty Hawk, if you have not already, to go visit this small museum around the landing strip or the beach where they were actually trying to fly. And it really tells a story about innovation and about dreams and about bringing something new to the world, something that was really a very out there kind of concept at the time in a small community of flyers. So in that December 17, 1903 was just 120 years ago that we did not know how to fly. And in 120 years now, we can fly all around the world and in great comfort. And there has been people on the moon, and there's been a lot of advancement in technology, but it started in those moments. So it's important to remember those moments. And now I'm going to do a jump cut, if you follow with me, to software. So I'm not going through the whole history of innovation, but there was a lot that happened. Computer got invented, and then software got invented, and then the internet got invented. And here I found this video that I will run as I'm continuing to speak. Now, you may have seen this video. One moment as it starts. This represents the birth of the internet, this animation. As the graphics are playing, I hope you're seeing it kind of all right on the Zoom. But at the top of the video, you see there the year. This represents it's a routing table capture that was started first at the University of Oregon's in 1997, and you see the year go by at the top there. Now we're in year 2001, and the color coding represents the development of the internet per continent. So in blue you have the America, in green you have Europe, in pink you have Latin America, in yellow, that is starting to show up now about 2004, is Africa, and then you have at the bottom a kind of a brown star, which for some reason the author of this felt they had to put in there, is the US military. So that's the internet developing. We're now in 2007, and as you can see, what was a sparsely populated graph is growing denser and denser as we go. And we all know how the internet impacted our lives. We all know that there was a huge effort, a technology effort. It's perhaps the biggest engineering projects ever done in terms of number of people and number of companies that participated in the internet. And it grew into this infrastructure that we take for granted. What you see at the lower left there are the companies, the network companies, telecom companies that have the most connection at that particular moment in time. And that develops into this beautiful flower. Now, as we're getting to the end of that video, I want to do another jump cut from the development of the internet, which has a lot of talk. This year, there was a lot of talk about the metaverse and what should be the next step of the internet. And by the way, this is an open source project, the Opti project, opti.org. You can go download this video if you want to. So back to our presentation, the next jump cut is about GitHub. So GitHub, and that's closer to home here, there is this Anvaka visualization, map visualization software this year that a gentleman named Andrei Kashka it developed to have a vision of GitHub itself. I am going to bring that up over here. One moment, please. There we have it. So this is the interactive version, and this represents the 400,000 projects on GitHub, and the developer divided this into continents and countries. So for our purpose, I'll jump straight into what we do at the Academy Software Foundation. We're into the country called Siggrafika over here, if you zoom in. And you can search for any projects that is on GitHub by typing its name in the search box. So for instance, OpenEXR brings us right here. And you see the connections, you see a description of the project and the connection that the other software that link to that particular library. So in that corner of the GitHub open source universe, you can see that very familiar names and who and where they connect to. There's OpenImageIO right here. There's USD over there, lots of connections coming in. And every one of our project is there, and others that are not part of our foundation are there as well. And I highly recommend the if you have not discovered this software already, I'll put it in the chat so you can experiment with it. And so we see our libraries and our projects and how they are interconnected and how they are used within our own community. And it's a great tool to use to go and explore GitHub. Now, back to our project at hand, and I have a few slides here about our project, MaterialX, OpenColor.io, OpenTimeline.io, which is going to be the next presentation in our town hall meetings. And this represents the current map. So I went from the Wright brothers to our projects. Don't know if you saw that. And now we're onto our project map. And we have now today 14 projects at the Academy Software Foundation. Our latest project is OpenImageIO that just joined, based on our continuous integration platform. So you're familiar with that slide. You've seen it many times, I think most of you. Those who are new to the foundation listening to this presentation or video can perhaps see that for the first time. 14 projects that had come over time and that have come from various studios in the industry and individuals, Alan John and Larry Gritz contributors, individual contributors, and large studios like ILM and ImageWorks and the Academy of Motion Pictures all contributed projects to the foundation. This year we have run an evaluation on the value of those projects, and I want to share that with you. This is based, this table represents each one of our projects on the left, and on the right, after computations in the middle, an estimated cost to develop the projects that we currently have at the foundation. And this, it's difficult to evaluate the value of any software if you are not involved in developing that software from the beginning, as we are, having adopted those projects. But there are tools that have been developed, and the Linux Foundation, our partner in the Academy Software Foundation, is connected through all these different ecosystems that can evaluate open source software, looking at the GitHub as we saw another tool to view the world from the lens of GitHub, and evaluate the cost of rebuilding that software if it needed to be done today. This is an estimate. We had healthy discussions. I think Larry on the call made a good point that these evaluations in many cases are probably high, But in any case, it gives us a ballpark figure in terms of the value of the projects in the Academy Software Foundation today. And these projects have been contributed by our members, and our members and our structure, as we saw before, is divided into the TAC, which is where all the engineers are, where all the TSC chairs meet every 2 weeks to design and plan the evolution of each project and our foundation at large. Our governing board is there to help the TAC with all the procedural questions and budgets and such, and the outreach committee led by Emily is our marketing arm that goes and do all the presentation that we've seen before. So the premier members are the one that are on the board, and they are providing us with our operating budget, and the foundation is healthy, in a good place, with a budget that is funding our operation, as well as a surplus that we keep for future innovations that we may want to do. And all of this, our foundation is based on the people that are on the board, the members, the people that are contributing or participating in our various activities. It's very important for us to shine a light on the engineers of our industry, to give a stand that our engineers can stand on, and that we can help to communicate to younger people, the students that are looking at what job to do in the future, to make sure everyone knows that there is engineering jobs in the motion picture industry that are exciting, as we know, helping to create all these great movies and TV shows and all these media that we see with the generated images, the animations that are bringing people to the theaters in many cases. I want to put a note for our YouTube channel where we have presentations such as this one from Andrew Glassner, who was our keynote speaker at our last conference, where he has a presentation on storytelling in the era of AI, which has become AI has become a very hot topic. So we have all of that on our YouTube channel at the youtube.com/Academy Software Foundation. Every conference we've done, presentations are recorded there. It's a great resource to know. And that's bringing me to our timeline. So again, many of you have seen this. There's a new edition, which is Open Source Days 2023, with OpenImage.io as a new project, and Otoy and Bold Graphics, companies that just joined us as members. So thank you and welcome to them. The foundation, in a nutshell, has been created now 5 years ago after an investigation of the Academy SciTech Council. And since then, we've had many milestones along the way, through our conferences, through projects joining, through going through, like everyone else on Earth, the pandemic and things like that. And we're glad to be out of all of that and moving forward. One new thing I want to highlight is we started doing outreach and events in other places in North America, which is something that has been mentioned many times, as we should diversify in other countries. And so Emily organized the first Beers of a Feather in London on June 6th. These are the pictures. It was a great event from what I understand. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there myself, but we intend to do more of those. And to the community, we want to say, if you want to put together an Academy Software Foundation event, please do reach out to us. We are looking at that, at expanding beyond the world of Hollywood and North America to other places on our planet, as open source is obviously a global phenomenon. So with that, I want to slide into Open Source Days 2023, which is starting as of now. We have a great program divided in 3 sections. The first one is the virtual town hall meetings. So if you're here, you know where to find them, the schedule. It's on the Open Source Days website. Shortly after my presentation here that kicks off everything, there'll be the open timeline presentation, and the other town hall are spread over the next few weeks until SIGGRAPH. We actually have one, even the USD working group, a few weeks or a week after SIGGRAPH. And that the virtual town halls that are mostly before SIGGRAPH lead to our main day, our main program on Sunday, August 6th, where we have a great packed program of presentation with the keynote by Wenzel Jacob, which is a developer in academia, and is going to talk to us about open source strategy for open source in academia. We have, I'm not going to name them all. You have seen them already probably, but we have presentation about OpenImage.io, our new project. We have presentation about Adobe's presenting USD file format plugins. Autodesk is presenting the wider story of their open source investments. We have a keynote panel about USD, and all of these presentation, XStudio, Open Review Initiative, concluding with our Beers of a Feather at the Prank Bar at the end of the day. And after that, we have on the Monday, August 7th, the Birds of a Feather. And so the town hall are designed to give updates on projects and set the stage for what each project wants to do, and interact with its own community. And that is all recorded. The Birds of a Feather are in person at SIGGRAPH, within the SIGGRAPH conference itself, not recorded. So the Birds of a Feather are the place to meet in person and to have a more face-to-face relation with the community for each projects. And with that, all of this organization, Open Source Days in our foundation, there's some thanks that are very much needed to our team. Emily Olin, who's been working hard along with Deb Gilles, John Murtick, Yarrell Kilborn, and a number of people from the Linux Foundation with them who come to help us when needed. The Linux Foundation continues to be an awesome resource for us when legal professionals are needed, when graphic design people are needed, when people from all sides of the open source world are needed to help us. They are there for us to come in and give us a hand. Thank you to them. Thank you to our sponsors. So now we're making forays into sponsorships for our events. So Autodesk, Foundry, HP, and Unreal Engine, thank you very much for sponsoring Open Source Days in a variety of ways. And our program committee. So particularly for our main day on August 6th, our program committee has done an amazing job. Lisa Carpio, Joanne Tan, Kelly Townley, Karen Raz, and Sean Willich, thank you for putting together and reading through all the call for papers and proposals that came in and putting a great program all together. Our foundation, you've seen our mission statement before. This is our traditional mission statement. We're here for providing a neutral forum for open source software in the motion picture and broader media industries, for technologies for image creation, visual effects, animation, and sound. We have ran that mission at our last conference, for those of you who were there, Open Source Forum in February, through ChatGPT, and it gave us some various versions of that. So I'll let you read them. It's definitely the pearls into that. We are here to a forum for open source software devs to share and collaborate on media everywhere. Because it's ChatGPT, we could have many different interpretations. So neutral ground for creators to get around about image creation, visual effects, animation, and sound. And perhaps the best and shortest of them all, we're here to empower art engineers and artists unite for open source magic. So that's our mission. That's what we're going to continue to do. Please stay tuned for all the coming up virtual town hall meeting, in particular Open Timeline IO, that is right next at 9 a.m. And have a great open source day. With that, I think we have plenty of time for some Q&A. And now I'm resurfacing from Slide World, and there's many more of you here.
So it looks like we have a question. It says, are there other projects currently being considered to be added as a foundation project that we can disclose?
So as you know, we've said this many times, we don't really consider projects. Projects are to be submitted to us. We are in discussion with a few projects that are considering to submit themselves to our foundation to fill up the form that says we would like to donate our project to the foundation. And so until they decide to do this, I will not discuss this. We will not discuss this publicly, but we have many projects that come our way. It's the tax job to evaluate them once they have filled up the form and to engage in a discussion with them. Over time, we've developed our muscles on that front to be able to help projects. Not all projects that are submitted are necessarily ready or at the right stage to join the foundation. So when that's the case, we advise them as well. Many of you are on the TAC, so you could talk about this better than I. And so the answer is yes, we're in discussions until they decide to pull the trigger officially. Then we have to continue maintaining the confidentiality on the process. Other questions? Do not hesitate.
Is there an ASWF Linux and Windows repositories for RPM/Yum and Chocolatey?
That's a good question. I will ask one of our TAC member to bring up to venture an answer on this. Larry, can you give me a hand on that question?
Sorry, can you repeat what was the question?
It's in the queue. Is there an ASWF Linux, RPM/Yum and Windows Chocolatey repositories?
No, I don't believe any of the projects currently distribute compiled binaries at the moment. A couple of them are working on or have recently completed Python wheels, but yeah, it's distributing binaries is kind of not really the core mission yet, although it's a frequent request. It's something that TAC should really work its way through.
Thank you for that, Larry. Other question, don't be shy. You can type them, you can raise your hand, you can come in live.
Yep, got them. Any tips for beginners who are just learning about these projects to get involved?
So yes, please, if you're joining us, the first thing to do is to go on our Slack channels and ask someone to add you to any of our project of interest, and look at the discussions that are there, be a fly on the wall, and see what's happening in projects of your choice, and contact the TSC, the Technical Steering Committee member and leader, and to ask what you can do. We have a number of efforts over time, including a dev days that is coming up that you can get involved with, and plenty of other opportunities that are in the TAC for engineers and people that are just coming in. And so we're very welcoming of people coming in. You don't need to be an expert, quite the contrary. We are open and free because we want to have people interested in open source in any of our projects, software in the motion picture industry.
And I'll also say that a lot of the project virtual town halls coming up, some of the projects might be highlighting areas where they might need help, or specifically how to get involved. And we have a very active Slack channel. So if you ever have questions, there's always community members who are happy to answer them, offer suggestions, or direct you on other ways to get involved. And I will drop an invite to the Slack in the chat.
Other questions? Do not hesitate. All right. Maybe I'll go in and start asking questions to our audience. So Josh, you want to give us a quick preview for your upcoming town hall meeting? Josh Miner.
Hi, I am finishing my slides right now. Thank you. But yeah, I would just want to say it's a really nice experience having our open timeline project part of the ASWF. It's a really nice community, and we're happy to tell you more about it in about half an hour.
Great. You heard it. Thank you, Josh, for being on the spot. I understand it's a little early for us West Coast people. So if we don't have other questions, then I want to welcome you to Open Source Days 2023. There'll be a lot more as we go forward and through all the presentations, and be there on August 6th. Looking forward to see you in person at the JW Marriott and all throughout SIGGRAPH. So thank you. Have a great Open Source Days. Last call for questions. That questions you had and you were dying to ask. Now is the time, but we'll have plenty of other time. Thank you very much.